Okay, you're probably clicking on this and you're probably like, what in the world? It's so dark. Should I put my... That doesn't look very good. Maybe like this. Alright, we're not... Alright, it's 3:45 and I can't sleep. So I was like... I don't even know where to start this video. One day I was like, I'm gonna write a story. So I wrote a story. And I don't know how to. Alright, I'm delirious or something. I wrote this story and then I had this idea. I was like, what if I read the story? The story is called Cowboy. Maybe I should turn that light on. I'm just gonna start reading the story. Chapter 1. Prairie Life. A true story only ends well through someone else's eyes. Mia told me on that cleared. I feel like the microphone needs to be like further away. It's like picking up. Is it? In cowboy terms. Chapter 1. Prairie Life. A true story only ends well through someone else's eyes. Mia told me on that clear Texas night as we lie under the stars. Her eyes, the only things prettier than them. I don't know exactly what prompted her to say that, but I did know I couldn't get those words out of my mind, especially not since she had just dumped me a couple months back. She said I was too selfish or something. I really liked Mia, and I still do, and probably will for a long time. Maybe even forever. This story is about me, not Mia, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. Hi, my name is TM. I was born and raised here in the newly named state of Texas. Now, life ain't easy out here on the frontier. Long days herding cattle and building fences will make a man out of you. Or it'll send you back east as quick as you came west, as we like to say. I live with a wrangler and two 20-year-old cowboys like myself. We live in an honest wood cabin that we built on the outskirts of town. It's not as fancied up as a hotel, but it gets the job done. Now, I'm not sure how much you know about the Old West, but let me tell you, it's a place where you should always expect either a scare, surprise, or both when you least expect it. I've seen battles, duels, bank robberies, wild horses inches away from trampling me, tornadoes, and everything else in between. So, at one point, I, admittedly, started feeling a little bit cocky. Thought I had this place down. But no matter what I had been through in the past, I don't think anything could have prepared me for an event that left members of this town, including myself, scarred for life. It was the first Monday of the month, which meant everyone's favorite thing, a town hall meeting led by Sam Short. Sam Short was the local lawman, the sheriff that nobody feared because, well, he'd become too large to mount his own horse. Somewhere in between making new belt notches to fit his ever-growing stomach, Short had issued into law mandatory monthly meetings for anyone over 16 in the town. Now, us cowboys don't particularly love organization or meetings. That's half the reason that most of us found ourselves out here. You might be thinking, so just don't show up, since this Sam Short guy isn't feared by anyone. Well, that is a great idea until you realize that his best friend is the governor. And if you were planning on spending any time out in the field trying to make some money and not in Sam Short's jail cells, then it was in your best interest to stay on the good side of the governor. So, to the meetings we went. They would start with a dreadfully long speech from Short about who knows what, followed by some sort of update on the expansion westward and local native activity. And if anyone was still awake at that point, there would be a Q&A session. But not this Monday. Sam Short had begun his speech and I had dozed off, but a nightmare had woken me up. Coincidentally, my nightmare had taken in the very same place that I currently am, the town hall meeting. In the dream, Sam Short had turned evil and was trying to embarrass members of the town in front of each other. I grimaced at the thought and rubbed my eyes. I looked around the room to see if I was the only person having trouble staying awake. Oddly enough, everyone looked scared, like they were watching a bank robbery, not tired. I laughed and thought to myself, maybe they all had the same dream I did. I finally became aware of my lack of focus and decided it was time to pay attention to this meeting, or at least act like it. So I looked up at Short. But his gaze started to bother me. When I saw him, he was scanning the room side to side as if he were looking for someone in particular to single out, like a mountain lion locking his eyes on his prey. Certainly, he was just taking a pause from his speech. I tried to assure myself, or maybe he was looking to see who was in attendance. Certainly my nightmare was not playing itself out in front of my eyes. TM. My heart stopped for what felt like 6 or 7 beats. Then it hit me. I had never been asleep. I had not been dreaming. A nightmare was playing out in front of my eyes, and it was about to get much, much worse. "Why don't you come up here and embarrass yourself in front of everybody?" Sam Short's voice rang out. I didn't know what to do. "Come on, it won't be that bad," he shouted. I closed my eyes and prayed. "Wake me up, wake me up. Let's not keep everybody waiting now." His voice was louder than 100 men shouting in unison. I slowly got out of my seat and winced one more time in an effort to wake myself up. I could already feel my face turning red. I felt the pressure of every eye in that room beaming at me as I made my way up to the front. Oh yeah, I might have forgotten to mention it, but sometimes I play my life back in my mind as if I were an old-timey cowboy. Let me try again. I like to tell my life stories in terms of a cowboy. The story I was just telling you about is really about my chemistry professor calling me out to answer a question in front of the lecture. But I feel as if the story is much more interesting if I become TM, my teacher becomes Sam Short, and the football coach the governor. Because in reality, my life isn't quite exciting enough to write a story about. I just go to school and play football, live the same life as the next guy over. Oh, and by the way, Mia in the story is also Mia in real life. A girl named Mia did break up with me like a month ago, and I didn't feel like changing her name because I really like that name. I know this all might be a little confusing, so let me give you another example. It's Friday night, 5 nights after the meeting. Its story has been making the rounds in town. I've actually overheard a couple guys talking about writing some kind of story or book about it. Could make for an interesting read, I suppose, but nevertheless, it's a Friday night, and I'm finished up a crossword puzzle from the local paper as I sip on some Black Label. It's been a quiet night so far, and I have intentions to change that. Long week of work calls for a little noise, does it not? I put my crossword puzzle down and asked one of my bunkmates, Breaker, if he wants to join me. "Hey, Breaker, you trying to have a night on the town tonight? Maybe stir up some trouble?" "You know I can't turn that down," he said, crawling down from his bunk. Now, our town isn't but a short ride over from our cabin in the saddle, so we arrived in no time. Home to a schoolhouse, a mill, a country store, a jail, and most importantly, a saloon. It had everything that you could ever want to live out here on the plains. Breaker and I tied up our horses nearby and walked towards the saloon, dirt crunching beneath our boots. I pushed the swing doors open and took a deep breath as that good old saloon smell hit me like a sandstorm. I glanced over the bar. Immediately, someone caught my eye. Ocean blue eyes, long blonde hair. She looked far too good to belong here, I thought to myself. I walked over and sat down next to her, looked her in the eye, and asked her how well she could ride. She must have loved what I said because she smiled and asked me if I wanted to find out. See, really, in real terms, I'm actually just talking about me on Tinder a few nights ago. That is what my life has come to, me on Tinder late on a Friday night, because I don't know what to do with myself anymore. Before the breakup, I never found myself in a saloon. This was the time that me and I would write stories together under the stars. She would put on my cowboy hat, and we would tell each other how we felt. I can still see her dreamy eyes as I would push her hair away and off of them. Sometimes she'd fall asleep when I read. I don't know if that's to say I bored her or if that just meant she felt comfortable around me, but I knew one thing for sure. I felt comfortable around her. Being with her gave me these feelings I could turn into words, but now I try to turn words into feelings, and it's just not the same. I know everything can't and doesn't always work out, but I wish we had. One thing that does seem to be working out for a lot of people right now is gold. I heard Sam Short say he knows someone personally that got rich after a week's work. On top of that, it feels like every other passerby has a story about someone that struck the mother lode. And think about leaving this town and heading further west. I never thought I would want to leave here. I always thought I'd stay and grow old with Mia. But this town is just a daily reminder of her. I don't want that. I don't want to think about I just don't want to think about her. And plus, everyone's saying there's more opportunity out there, so maybe that means there's another Mia I can find, because I don't want Mia to be the only Mia that I ever know. Chapter 2. Heading west. "Yeah," I shouted as I kicked my spurs into the side of my horse and tore off towards the mountains, leaving everything and everyone I knew behind me, off to a place where fortune was said to be found as easy as catching a lightning bug on a spring evening. What's not to lose, I thought to myself as we galloped across the plains, racing eagles and chasing the setting sun, and a new hometown, a boomtown. Okay, let me catch you up on reality. So after Mia broke up with me, I got really tired really fast at the school that I was at. Around the locker room, there had been a lot of talk of this newer university a couple states over that, well, let's just say they compensate their players nicely. So for me, it was a no-brainer. New school, new people, promises of money, maybe a new girl that would make me forget Mia. This was my opportunity to start over, so I took it. Boom! Another shovel full of rocks lands in the minecart. Pink! Another swing of the pickaxe into the wall in the mine. Days and days of backbreaking work clearing rocks in cloudy mines, only to keep digging just to find more rock. It became vividly clear that whatever fortune anyone found in these mines was sure to get the heck out of Dodge immediately, and made sure not to drop a dime on the way out. 2 weeks in, and I had almost had enough. As I stirred my spoon around a bowl of stew I wouldn't dare feed the birds, I thought to myself, this is the price you pay for fortune. But I didn't even believe it. I definitely didn't believe it when those words came out of the mouth of Mountain Jerry, the mine troll. While hard at work in the mines, he would come up behind you, hit you upside the head, and scream, "This is the price you pay for fortune!" Then would begin howling with laughter until he keeled over, and then, unnecessarily and in the most dramatic fashion, beg for resuscitation. Alright, so there's no real-life counterpart to Mountain Jerry, the mine troll. I just made him up. Anyways, football practice at this new school makes my old school look like recess, and it turns out the compensation that I had heard about was just a couple players that got lucky and found a loophole in their scholarships. I thought coming into school would give me a fresh start, a new page to start writing in, a chance for me to change my mindset, but I just continued to lie to myself. Lie that I was here to make money and play football, that I couldn't make time in my schedule to try and get to know some new girls, that I didn't still want and love Mia. I started to realize how easy it is to believe something that you want to believe. Chapter 3, Understanding. TM, you've got a letter waiting for you down at the post office. I whirled my head around in surprise and asked, me? Yes, you. You're the only person around here named TM, aren't you? It's exciting news to hear, as rarely did one of us miners receive mail. More often mail was sent but never reached us. This was the first I had received since I had moved. I wonder who it could be from. Maybe Breaker or Sam Short. I was excited, so I hurried down to the post office and found my letter. It had no indication of who it was supposed to go to on the outside, but the mailman assured it was for me. I ripped open the letter and opened it and began reading. I couldn't believe my eyes. I miss you. Mia, with a heart next to it. The letter was short, but it said everything. Immediately, I went home and packed my bag and loaded up my horse. I had never moved so fast in my entire life. A couple of days of riding later, I rode up on my old town. I didn't even think about stopping till I was at our spot, the spot on the hill where we used to write stories under the stars. I galloped right through town, past the saloon, past Sam Short, who I believe was waving at me, all the way to the bottom of the hill. As I rode up on our spot, I took a deep breath to calm my nerves and tried to take everything in. My mind was busy recalling every memory of the nights we'd spent up there. I got off my horse and started walking towards where I knew she would be. My walk turned into a jog, my jog a sprint. I had expected her to be looking for me, but as I came closer, I started to make out her figure in the moonlight. But she was wearing a cowboy hat. I thought it odd because the only hat I'd ever seen her wear was mine, and mine was on my head. I thought maybe she missed me so much that she bought one to have a little reminder of me, or maybe she bought me a new one. Mine is extremely dirty and I couldn't use it. My thoughts were cut off by a thundering voice. "Is someone there?" It rang out. The voice was much too deep to be Mia's. Startled, I cowered behind a rock. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to do. I started backing away in disbelief. But what about the letter she had written me? Had she just lied to me? Was this her way of trying to get back at me for some reason? I peeked over the rock to make sure that my mind hadn't been playing tricks on me, but plain as day, there she was, with someone else's cowboy hat on. I got back to my horse and mounted her. I thought I'd be running away from it all, full of rage, kicking my horse to go faster, shaking my fists and screaming at the sky. The wind battering my eyes, causing tears to rush out uncontrollably as I lost control of myself. But no. I was slowly riding away from the place I used to call my home. My mind numb. There was nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, no one else to speak to, no one else to love. She was right all along. Now I can only hope that my story ends well in her eyes. So it turns out that she never did write a note to me. I actually just misinterpreted one of her Instagram stories. I mean, to be fair, it said, "I miss you" with a big red heart. So can you really blame me? Granted, it had been a little while since we had spoken. I showed up to her dorm room and knocked and was greeted by some guy. That was an awkward exchange, to say the least. That was about an hour ago. Right now, I'm pulled over on the side of the road writing this, and I've just accepted what is for what is. I've accepted what I always knew was true. She got over me, but I couldn't get over her. There was no sense in fighting it anymore. No reason to continue to lie to myself. So I guess this is where church finally lets out, or it comes time to put the chairs in the wagon. I'm trying to say this story is over for right now. Just in cowboy terms. Alright, so that's the whole story. The story I'm writing right now is called... What is it called? It's called Pirate Stories. The one after that, I'll make it about Vikings or something, and we'll continue the theme of... I don't even... What is that theme? I don't know.